Her perfume hit me first, a sultry wave that wasn't hers. My wife dumped me by text and cleaned out our bank account. She didn't know I'd already transferred everything to a hidden account she couldn't touch. If this story grips your heart, hit like, comment your thoughts, and subscribe to Revenge with Jack for more unforgettable dramas. I'm Warren Keane, 47, Director of Operations at a logistics company in Omaha, Nebraska. My life was the kind you'd hear in a Luke Combs song, $150,000 a year, a brick ranch in Dundee with a wraparound porch, and a Ram 1500 parked beside my wife's Lexus. Haley, 39, was my spark, witty, ambitious, with a smile that could sell ice to a blizzard. Her marketing firm turned startups into household names, her energy lighting up boardrooms faster than I could streamline a supply chain. Sundays were for pickup basketball at the Y Grilling Ribs in the backyard, Haley's laughter mixing with Willie Nelson on the speakers. I thought we were bulletproof. Then the cracks started showing, and my world burned down faster than a prairie fire. It started with a buzz. Haley's phone, glowing on the nightstand, lit up at 3 a.m. She was asleep, her lavender candle flickering. I was up crunching numbers for a client pitch when the screen flashed Chandler Keane. My cousin, 52, a slick corporate consultant who'd clawed his way to a corner office in our company's parent firm. The message read, "Missed you tonight. Tomorrow 8 p.m. The Drover." My gut twisted. The Drover was Omaha's steakhouse for deals and dalliances, not family catch-ups. Why was he texting her like that? Why so late I didn't touch her phone? After 14 years of marriage, I wasn't the guy who snooped. But doubt sank its teeth in. Haley woke up, kissed my cheek, said she had a client dinner that night. I nodded, but my eyes tracked her, the new emerald necklace glinting, a dress hugging her curves like a second skin, her phone now a permanent fixture in her hand. Over the next month, the signs stacked up. Late nights she blamed on campaign deadlines. A new perfume, bold and musky, replacing her soft floral scent. Ex-posts, cryptic and flirty, chasing what feels alive, tagged at Omaha's rooftop bars I'd never seen her step into. She'd slide into bed, whisper she loved me, but her touch felt rehearsed, like a performance for an audience of one. One night I couldn't shake it. Haley was working late until 11 p.m. I logged into our bank account, telling myself I was just balancing the books. A charge jumped out, $400 at a boutique hotel paid with a card I didn't know. Not our joint savings. Not her business account. My pulse hammered. I dug deeper, finding restaurant charges, $200 here, $500 there, buried in her company's expense reports labeled client meetings. I checked her calendar. No client meetings those nights. Just out. I closed my laptop, Omaha's skyline glowing through the blinds, a cold wind rattling the windows. I didn't confront her. Nebraska's divorce laws favor evidence in fault cases, and if Haley was cheating, I needed proof, ironclad, courtroom-ready proof. No shared debt, no alimony fight, but her marketing firm was pulling in $120,000 a year, and I wasn't letting her walk away with my savings while she played me for a fool. I went methodical, like I was optimizing a shipping route. Ordered a GPS tracker online, a dime-sized device I slipped under her Lexus's driver's seat. At 2 a.m., the street silent, except for my breath. The tracker showed her car at the Drover 3 times that week, when she'd sworn she was at a strategy session. I found a receipt in her purse, $300 for a silk scarf cash payment. My blood boiled, but I stayed cold, a hunter stalking his prey. The first twist hit at a company gala hosted by our firm at a riverfront venue in Council Bluffs. Haley was there, stunning in sapphire, working the room like a pro. Chandler showed up, his wife Elise Keane, a soft-spoken librarian, on his arm. I watched them across the crowd, Haley and Chandler, their glances lingering, a smile too intimate. They slipped to a balcony, thinking no one noticed. I followed, staying behind a column, the Missouri River glinting under string lights. His hand grazed her wrist. Her laugh was low, private. "You're trouble," she whispered. He grinned. "And you're hooked." My fist clenched, but I held back, slipping inside the venue's hum, drowning my rage. I hired a private investigator the next morning. Nick Harlow, a retired cop with a gravelly drawl and a knack for disappearing in plain sight. I met him at a coffee shop on Farnham Street, sliding him a folder with the bank charges and tracker data. "Get me proof," I said, my voice steady. "Photos, audio, anything that holds up." Nick sipped his black coffee, eyes sharp. 2 weeks, Warren. If she's stepping out, you'll have it. I nodded, the shop's espresso machine hissing, my wedding band heavy on my finger. Nick was quick. 10 days later, he texted me to meet at a diner off Dodge Street. He pushed a manila envelope across the table, his face neutral. "You ready?" he asked. I nodded, throat dry. Inside were photos: Haley and Chandler at a wine bar, her hand on his arm. Another of them entering a hotel suite, his fingers brushing her back. A video clip, shaky but clear, showed them in a parking lot kissing against her Lexus, her hands tugging his collar. I stared numb as the diner's neon sign buzzed outside. "More coming," Nick said. "Chandler's using a burner phone. Texts go back 7 months. I pocketed the envelope, my voice flat. "Keep going." Haley played the perfect wife at home. She'd bake cornbread, pour Merlot, laugh at my stories about warehouse delays. "You're my rock, Warren," she'd say, her eyes warm. I'd nod, but inside I was fracturing. I started recording our talks, a hidden app on my phone, catching every lie. "You seem off," she said one night, tracing my hand. "Work stress?" I lied, nodding. "You'd tell me if it was us, right?" she pressed. I nodded again, but my heart was steel. The second twist came from my coworker Jake Morrow, a 32-year-old logistics analyst who joined my team last year. We were grabbing beers after a late shift, the bar alive with country tunes. "You okay, boss?" Jake asked, his eyes sharp. I shrugged, sipping my IPA. "Just life." He leaned in, voice low. "I saw Haley's firm on a contract with Chandler's division. They're pitching a deal with some shady investors, offshore accounts, maybe laundering." My grip tightened on the glass. "What kind?" Jake glanced around. "Shell companies, murky transfers. Chandler's been dodging audits forever." I nodded, my mind racing. Was Haley just cheating, or was she tangled in Chandler's financial web? I didn't tell Haley I knew. Our 15th anniversary was coming, a big party at a vineyard in Ashland, Haley's vision of rustic chic. I decided that's where it would unfold, not a shouting match, but a calculated strike, like rerouting a shipment at the last second. Nick would be there posing as a caterer, ready to serve Chandler with a subpoena if needed. My lawyer, Karen Holt, a bulldog litigator, said we had enough for a clean divorce. "Adultery's a slam dunk," she said, flipping through Nick's photos. "Your assets are safe, no alimony." But I wasn't after clean. I wanted answers. Why Haley? Why us? I started therapy with Dr. Paul Weaver, a no-nonsense ex-Marine who didn't sugarcoat. "You're mourning the marriage you thought you had," he said, leaning back in his chair. "Anger's fine. So is love. Love." I hated that I still loved her. Every night beside her in bed, her breathing soft, I wrestled with it: fury, longing, betrayal. It was eating me alive, but I kept my mask on, planning, waiting. The third twist blindsided me. I was cleaning the garage looking for my old basketball gear when I found a locked box under Haley's yoga mats. I pried it open with a screwdriver. Inside, a burner phone, no passcode. Texts from Chandler, months old. "You're my escape, Haley." Her replies: "This is wrong. I love Warren." My eyes stung. She'd known it was a mistake. She'd still chosen it. Another text from an unknown number. "Tell Chandler to stop, or I tell Warren." My pulse spiked. Someone else knew. A threat. A friend. I pocketed the phone, the garage's fluorescent light humming overhead. Haley came home that night, rattled. "A client pulled out," she said, pouring wine with shaky hands. No warning, just gone. I watched her, searching for guilt, but she just looked shaken. "Rough day," I said, my voice flat. She nodded, curling up beside me, her warmth a cruel echo. The anniversary was 2 days away. I'd wait. The night before the party, Haley sat me down, her eyes red. "Warren, I've been distant," she said, her voice trembling. "Work's been brutal, but you're my home." My heart stopped. Was this a confession? A lifeline? "We'll talk after tomorrow," I said, my voice steady. She nodded, her fingers brushing mine, a spark of the Haley I'd married. I held her gaze, searching for the truth, but all I saw was a shadow of the woman I'd vowed to love forever. The vineyard glowed, string lights, oak barrels, guests laughing under a Nebraska sunset. Haley moved through the crowd, radiant, oblivious to the trap I'd set. Chandler was there, Elise at his side, his smile smug. Nick was in the catering tent, his eyes locked on me, waiting for my signal. I gripped my bourbon, pulse steady, knowing tomorrow would break us all. The vineyard hummed with life lanterns swaying in the Nebraska breeze, the twang of a steel guitar cutting through the chatter. Haley was a vision in emerald, her curves stealing the room, her smile a polished lie. I stood by the bar, bourbon burning my throat, watching her charm a client like she hadn't spent months betraying me. Chandler Keane. My cousin was across the field, his suit-sharp Elise chatting with a local artist, unaware of the wolf beside her. My pulse was a steady hammer, my speech tucked in my jacket, a grenade ready to blow. Nick Harlow, my PI, was in the catering tent, his apron a disguise, his eyes flicking to me for the go-ahead. Our 15th anniversary was a stage, and I was set to torch it. But the truth had a way of rewriting the play, and the twists were piling up like storm clouds over the plains. I played my role, clinking glasses, grinning through toasts about eternal love. My buddy Tom Rourke, a warehouse supervisor who'd known me since our college basketball days, slapped my shoulder. 15 years, Warren. You're a damn rock. I forced a chuckle, my eyes on Haley. She caught my stare, her smile softening, a flicker of something, guilt, fear. She turned away, adjusting a guest's name tag, her emerald necklace glinting like a warning shot. The absence of our kids, grown and off building their own lives, made the night feel sharper, like a blade with no handle. The fourth twist hit during the cocktail hour. I was near the vineyard's oak barrels, the Platte River shimmering under a starlit sky, when I overheard Haley's voice behind a trellis. "Chandler, this stops now," she hissed, her tone sharp as barbed wire. "I'm done with your lies." My blood froze. I edged closer, hidden by the shadows. "You're panicking," Chandler said, his voice smooth, mocking. "No one knows, Haley. Keep it quiet and we're safe." She laughed, bitter, her heels clicking. "Safe? I'm protecting my family, not your secrets." Her words hit like a fist. Was she breaking it off or covering her tracks? I stayed still, my bourbon glass sweating in my hand. I didn't follow her. I found Nick, his face grim under the tent's dim lights. Heard that I asked. He nodded, jotting notes on a napkin. "She's pushing back. He's not rattled. Bad mix." He handed me a flash drive, his voice low. "New stuff. Chandler's funneling cash through Haley's marketing firm. Fake client invoices, offshore transfers. She might be clueless." I pocketed the drive, my mind spinning. Haley's firm, her pride and joy, a front for Chandler's dirty money. It was betrayal on top of betrayal, a maze I couldn't navigate yet. Dinner was a tightrope. I sat beside Haley, her hand grazing my arm, her laugh bright for the guests. I sliced my ribeye, nodded at stories, but every smile was a lie. Chandler's table was close, Elise beaming as he fed her a bite of dessert. My lawyer Karen Holt had warned me, "No public scenes, Warren. Let the evidence do the talking." But the urge to shatter the charade, to call them out in front of 300 guests, was a live wire in my veins. The fifth twist came during the first dance. Haley had picked our song, Chris Stapleton's Whiskey, and you and couples swayed under the stars. I stayed back, watching her charm a vendor. My phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. "Check the vineyard office. Truth's waiting." My pulse spiked. I slipped away, telling Tom I needed air. The office was a small room off the tasting area, door ajar. Inside, an envelope sat on the desk, no name, just a note from someone who knows. I opened it, a USB drive and a photo, Haley and Chandler in an Omaha lounge, her hand on his chest, time-stamped 5 months ago. My jaw clenched. Who sent this, a friend, an enemy? I found Nick in the catering tent, handing him the drive. "Could be a setup," he said, eyes narrowing, "or a jackpot." We ducked into a storage room, Nick plugging the drive into his laptop. Audio files loaded, Haley's voice raw in a car with Chandler. "I'm out," she said, voice cracking. "I love Warren. This was a mistake." Chandler's reply was ice. "You walk, I burn your firm. Those invoices, your signatures on them." My fists balled. Blackmail. He wasn't just cheating, he was trapping her. Nick's face darkened. "She's stuck, Warren. Maybe deeper than you thought." I returned to the party, my head a storm. Haley was dancing with her dad, Mike Ellison, a retired mechanic with a laugh like a V8 engine. He grinned at me, proud. I nodded, but my chest ached. Her mom, Linda Ellison, was beside me, sipping rosé. "She's radiant tonight," Linda said, her eyes warm. "You're a lucky man." I swallowed the truth, choking me. How would I tell them their daughter was a liar? A pawn. The sixth twist came during my speech. I stood at the mic. The crowd hushed, Haley beside me, her hand trembling in mine. 15 years I started, my voice steady, a loaded gun. built on trust, love, and promises kept. Her grip tightened, her breath catching. I scanned the crowd, Tom watching closely, Nick by the tent, Chandler smirking like he'd won. I'd planned to expose them, let the truth torch the night. But the audio, the blackmail, shifted my aim. I pivoted, my voice low, deliberate. Haley's built a legacy, I said, turning to her. But legacies crumble when secrets weigh too much. Her eyes widened, panic flashing. The crowd clapped oblivious, but she knew I was closing in. After the speech, she pulled me to a quiet corner, her face pale. "What was that, Warren?" she whispered, her voice shaking. "Just a toast," I said, cold. "Strike a chord." She searched my face, then backed off, her heels clicking as she rejoined the guests. I watched her go, my heart a furnace. Nick caught my arm. "Good call, holding back. We've got enough to bury Chandler's accounts. Let's do this right." I nodded, but my eyes were on Haley, her smile a fragile shield as she hugged a guest. The party faded, guests spilling into the Nebraska night stars sharp above the vineyard. Chandler and Elise left early, his hand on her back, her laugh trusting. I wanted to warn her, but Nick stopped me. "Not yet," he said. "We need more." I drove home alone, Haley staying to finalize with the vineyard staff. Our house was silent, the air heavy with her absence. I plugged the USB drive into my laptop, replaying the audio. Haley's voice desperate, begging Chandler to stop, his laugh sharp and cruel. I slammed the laptop shut, the crickets outside a restless hum. The next morning, Haley was quiet, brewing coffee, her eyes shadowed. "You didn't sleep," she said, sliding me a mug. "Work okay?" I stared into the steam, my voice flat. "You tell me." She froze, then busied herself with dishes, avoiding my gaze. I left for work, my office a blur of logistics reports and client calls. My boss, Ray Tucker, noticed my edge. "You good, Keane?" he asked, leaning on my desk. "Just life," I said. He nodded, tossing me a pen. "Fix it, Warren." Nick called at noon. "Chandler met another woman this morning," he said. "Not Haley. Tessa Monroe, his assistant. Same hotel, different room." My grip tightened. "And Haley?" I asked. "She's at her office pitching a client. No contact with Chandler." I exhaled, but the relief was thin. I spent lunch at a park by the Missouri River, staring at the water, replaying every lie. Haley's laugh, Chandler's smirk, Tessa's name, my own blindness. That night, Haley tried to bridge the gap. She set out steaks, cornbread, a bottle of bourbon. "We need to talk," she said, her voice soft. I nodded, bracing myself. "I've been swamped." She started twisting her napkin. "I've let you down, Warren. I'm sorry." Her eyes searched mine, but I saw the cracks, guilt, fear, maybe regret. "That's all I asked," my tone sharp. Her lips parted, but no words came. "I love you," she whispered, desperate. I stood, clearing my plate. "Good to know," I said, walking away. Her sob followed me upstairs, but I didn't turn back. The seventh twist came via Tom. He called, his voice tense. "Saw Haley at a law firm downtown, meeting some suit. Looked serious." My stomach dropped. Another man, I drove to the address he sent, spotting Haley outside with a silver-haired man in a tailored suit. They were intense. No smiles, just documents and gestures. I snapped a photo, sending it to Nick. "That's Victor Reed," he said. "Corporate lawyer, specializes in fraud. Chandler's firm uses him." My mind raced. Was Haley covering her tracks or digging into Chandler's? I tailed her the next day, borrowing Tom's Chevy. She met Victor again, this time at a cafe, her laptop open, spreadsheets glowing. I stayed back, watching through the window. She looked focused, not scared. I sent the photos to Nick. "She's building a case," he said. "Maybe against Chandler. Maybe for herself. Divorce, fraud, I couldn't tell." The uncertainty clawed at me, a knife twisting deeper. I confronted her that night, no games. "Who's Victor Reed?" I asked, leaning against the fridge. Her coffee mug slipped, shattering on the tile. "A client," she stammered, kneeling to clean the mess. "Business." I stepped closer, my voice low. "Don't lie, Haley." Her eyes welled, but she held my gaze. "I'm fixing things, Warren. Please trust me." I laughed, bitter. "Trust you burn that to the ground." She flinched, tears falling. "I'm trying," she whispered. I turned away, the broken mug, a jagged mirror of our marriage. Nick's next report was a bomb. Victor wasn't just Chandler's lawyer. He was investigating Chandler for laundering money through his consulting deals hired by Elise Keane, who'd spotted odd transfers in their foundation's accounts. Haley had tipped Elise off anonymously, dropping a flash drive at her library with bank records she'd found in Chandler's office. She'd been working with Victor to expose him, risking her firm, her reputation. My jaw dropped. Haley, my cheating wife, was playing whistleblower. It didn't erase her lies, but it shifted the ground beneath me. I met Elise at her library, a quiet space with rows of books and soft jazz. She was poised, tired, her eyes heavy. "Haley's brave," she said, shelving a novel. "She didn't have to do this. Chandler fooled us both." I nodded, my throat tight. "Did she tell you about them?" I asked. Elise's gaze softened. "She said she was weak, fell for his charm. Said she loves you, always has." I left the library's bell chiming, my mind a tangle. Haley had betrayed me, but she'd also risked everything to take Chandler down. Was she a victim or a villain? Back home, Haley was packing a bag. "I'm staying with my mom," she said, her voice steady but fragile. "I've hurt you, Warren. I need space to figure this out." I stared, rage warring with grief. "Running?" I asked. She shook her head, tears falling, facing it. For once. She left, the door clicking shut, the house echoing with her absence. I sank onto the couch, her burner phone in my hand, the rain a steady drum outside. The eighth twist came from Jake, my coworker. He showed up at my office, eyes wide, clutching a tablet. "I hacked Chandler's email," he said, voice low. "Found something big." He opened a file, messages between Chandler and a board member, Greg Walsh, plotting to pin the laundering on Haley's firm if it went south. "They planned to frame her," Jake said. "Chandler's been using her accounts as a shield." My blood boiled. Haley wasn't just a pawn, she was a scapegoat. I thanked Jake, my mind racing. Was she in deeper than she knew? The ninth twist hit the next day. My sister Ellen Keane called from Lincoln, her voice tense. "Haley's been asking about your work," she said, pausing. "Weird stuff, your contracts, your clients." She said it's for a pitch, but it felt off. My heart sank. Was Haley still playing Chandler's game, or was she digging for leverage? "Thanks, Ellen," I said, my voice steady. "Keep it quiet." She nodded over the phone, sensing the storm. I leaned against my desk, Omaha's skyline glittering across the river. What was Haley chasing? I called Nick that night. "Haley's asking my sister about my work," I said, my voice tight. "Check her communications." He sighed. "Warren, this could mean she's still in with Chandler. Or she's scared and fishing for info to protect herself." I leaned against my ram, the city lights pulsing across the horizon. "Find out," I said. "I need to know who she's fighting for." The 10th twist came from Linda, Haley's mom. She called, her voice shaking. "Warren, Haley's at my place, falling apart. She says she's in trouble, something about Chandler and money. She's terrified for you." My grip tightened on the phone. "What kind of trouble?" Linda hesitated. She wouldn't say. Just, "She's scared, Warren. Come talk to her." I hung up, my mind a storm. Was Haley playing Linda too? Or was she genuinely scared? I didn't know what to believe, but the anniversary fallout was coming, and I was running out of time to decide. What would you do if you were me? Would you confront her now or keep digging? Drop your thoughts below. The morning after Haley left for her mom's, our Dundee home felt like a hollowed-out barn, the silence louder than any country song. Her lavender scent lingered on the couch, a cruel echo. The kitchen where we'd danced to Johnny Cash and argued over burnt ribs stood empty, mocking me. I hadn't slept, my mind replaying Ellen's warning about Haley's odd questions, Jake's hacked emails exposing Chandler's plan to frame her, and Linda's desperate call about Haley's fear. Was she a liar, a victim, or both? I poured coffee, the steam rising like my doubts, and stared at Omaha's skyline, its lights dimmed by a gray dawn. Chandler Keane was a snake, but Haley had coiled herself around him. With the feds circling, I had to decide: torture or pull her from the fire. I drove to work, my logistics office a blur of schedules and client demands. My phone buzzed. Nick Harlow, my PI, his voice tight. "Chandler's on edge," he said. "Met a fixer at a truck stop off I-80. Looks like he's prepping to bolt. Belize, maybe. Elise's evidence and Haley's tips have him cornered." I gripped my steering wheel, parked outside a warehouse, the smell of asphalt sharp. "What about Haley?" I asked. "She's at her mom's, no contact with Chandler, but she's emailing Victor Reed nonstop. Legal prep encrypted." I exhaled, my breath fogging the windshield. Crack those emails, I said, and track Chandler's fixer. I need it all. I met Tom Rourke for lunch at a diner on Saddle Creek Road, his work boots dusty, his eyes sharp. You figure out Haley yet, he asked, biting into a burger. I shook my head, sipping a Coke. She's tearing down Chandler's empire, Tom. Tipped off his wife, fed the feds a paper trail. But she lied to me, used Ellen to dig into my work. Tom leaned back, wiping ketchup from his chin. Sounds like she's in a storm, Warren. You gonna throw her a rope or let her sink? I stared at the streetcars flashing through the drizzle. I don't know if I can forgive her, I admitted. He clapped my shoulder. You don't have to. Just figure out what you can carry. That afternoon I called Elise Keane at her library. She agreed to meet at a bench by Carter Lake, her scarf fluttering in the wind. Haley's a fighter, she said, her voice soft but firm. She dropped that drive at my library, no name, just a note saying check his books. It's why I hired Victor. Chandler's been skimming from our foundation for years. Her eyes met mine, weary but fierce. Did she tell you about them? I asked, my throat tight. Elise nodded. She said she fell for his game, thought it was a spark. Said she loves you, always will. She's trying to make it right. I looked away, the lake's ripples stark against the gray sky. Thanks, I muttered, her words heavy in my chest. The 11th twist hit that evening. I was in my home office staring at Haley's burner phone when Jake Morrow, my coworker, texted, big find. Meet me at the park on Leavenworth. I drove over the Missouri River, glinting under sodium lights, the air crisp with cedar. Jake slid a USB drive across a picnic table, his face pale. Chandler's been hacking your firm's servers, he said. He's got access to your logistics contracts, $75 million worth. Emails show he's planning to sell them to a rival if the feds nab him. My jaw clenched. Haley, no. Jake shook his head. No mention of her. But there's more. He's got a dossier on you, client meetings, travel logs. Looks like he was prepping to frame you too. My blood ran cold. Chandler wasn't just using Haley. He was aiming for me, my career, my life. I drove home, Jake's drive heavy in my pocket. Chandler was a puppet master pulling strings to ruin us both. Was Haley his accomplice or his shield? I called Nick, my voice low. Chandler's hacking my company, I said. Find out how deep it goes. Nick whistled. This guy's a vulture, Warren. I'll trace the breach. But Haley's emails to Victor mention a threat to you. She's terrified, man. I leaned against my desk, Omaha's skyline glittering through the rain. Threat, how, I asked. Could be, Chandler, Nick said. Or she's scared you'll uncover it all. I hung up my mind, a battlefield. The next day I drove to Linda's house in Fremont, just outside Omaha. Linda answered, her face etched with worry. Haley's a mess, she said, letting me in. Haley was in the living room, curled on a sofa, her eyes red, a laptop open beside her. She stood when she saw me, her voice breaking. Warren. I held up a hand, stopping her. I know about Chandler, I said, my voice steady. The affair, the laundering, the hack on my company. And you using Ellen to spy on me. Her face crumpled, tears spilling. Ellen, she choked. I didn't. Chandler said it was for a client pitch, harmless questions. I was so stupid. I stepped closer, my voice low. Harmless. You lied to my face, Haley. For months. She sank onto the sofa, sobbing. He threatened to tank my firm, Warren. Said he'd frame me for his deals. I was weak, but I love you. I'm trying to fix it. My chest ached, rage and grief colliding. You chose him, I said. Every lie, every night, you chose him. She shook her head, tears falling. I chose wrong. I'm fighting him now. I turned away, the room heavy with her regret, Linda watching silently from the doorway. I left the drizzle turning to a downpour. Back in Omaha, I met Karen Holt, my lawyer, at her office. I handed her Jake's drive and Nick's latest report, Chandler's hacked contracts, his plan to frame Haley and me. This is dynamite, Karen said, scanning the files. Feds will eat it up. Chandler's facing fraud, laundering, cybercrime. Haley's clean legally, she didn't know about the hack. I nodded, relief mixing with anger. What about us, I asked. Karen leaned back, her pen tapping. Divorce is airtight, no alimony, your assets safe. But if you want to try, that's your call. I stared at her desk, a photo of her grandkids smiling. I need time, I said. That night I sat with Haley's burner phone, its texts a raw wound. I love Warren, she'd written. Chandler's reply. Then why are you here? I called Dr. Paul Weaver, my therapist. I'm lost, I admitted. He was blunt steady. You're allowed to love her and hate her, Warren. Don't decide tonight. I hung up the silence, heavy the rain, a soft drum outside. The 12th twist came at dawn. Nick called, his voice urgent. Feds grabbed Chandler at a private airfield, he said. Fraud, laundering, cybercrime, he's toast. Elise's evidence plus Haley's nailed him. I leaned against my kitchen counter, relief washing over me. And Haley? I asked. She's cooperating with the feds, gave them everything, emails, invoices, her burner phone. She's clear. I exhaled, the morning light cutting through the blinds. Chandler was gone, his empire ash. But Haley and I were still a war zone. I drove to Fremont again unannounced. Haley was in Linda's backyard, sitting by a fire pit, staring at the flames. She stood when she saw me, hope flickering in her eyes. Warren, she started, but I cut her off. I know about the feds, I said. You took him down. Her eyes welled, but she held my gaze. I had to, she whispered. For Elise, for me. For us. I studied her, the woman I'd loved for 14 years now, broken but fighting. You broke me, Haley. I said, my voice low. But you're still standing. Her tears fell, but she didn't look away. I'll fight for you, Warren, if you'll let me. I didn't answer, the fire crackling between us, the air thick with unspoken vows. The 13th twist hit the next day. Tom called, his voice tense. Got a tip from a client, he said. Chandler was digging into your old contracts deals from when you started at the firm. Said he had dirt to smear you. My heart stopped. What kind, I asked. Tom paused. Something about a shipping deal 10 years ago. He claimed it was shady. My blood ran cold. That deal was clean, but Chandler's lies could have ruined my name. Why didn't Haley tell me, I asked. Tom sighed. She might not have known the details, but she stopped him, Warren. Gave the feds the proof. My jaw dropped. Haley hadn't just blown the whistle on Chandler's laundering, she'd saved my reputation. I called Nick, my voice tight. Chandler was after my old deals, I said. Check his burner for anything about my past. Nick sighed. Already did. Found texts he planned to leak, fake documents, make it look like you were skimming profits. Haley stopped him, handed over the evidence. I leaned against my Ram Omaha's skyline, glinting across the river. She's telling the truth, I asked. Looks like it, Nick said. She's been playing a dangerous game, Warren, risking everything. I met Haley at a diner on West Center Road, the neon sign buzzing the air thick with coffee and bacon. She looked tired but resolute, her hair loose, no makeup. I know about Chandler's threats, I said, my voice steady. The hack, the frame job, the old deal. Her eyes widened, hope flickering. I was terrified, Warren, she said, her voice raw. He said he'd destroy you, our life, everything. I thought I could outmaneuver him, but I was wrong. I studied her, searching for lies, but all I saw was regret. You should have trusted me, I said, my tone sharp. I could have fought beside you. She nodded, tears falling. I know. I'm sorry. I leaned back, the diner's hum fading, my heart a storm of love and rage. The 14th twist came from Karen. She called, her voice urgent. Chandler's firm was tied to a rival mine, she said. They bribed an exec to sabotage your contracts if Chandler went down. Haley found out, tipped off the feds. They're raiding the rival's office now. My mind reeled. Haley hadn't just saved my reputation. She'd saved my company's biggest deal, a $100 million contract. She's clean, I asked. Karen laughed sharp. Cleaner than you think, Warren. She's been feeding the feds intel for weeks, no deal for herself. I hung up the rain, a steady beat outside. Haley wasn't just a whistleblower. She was a warrior fighting a war I hadn't seen. But I'd already made moves of my own. 3 months ago, when Haley's late nights and cryptic ex-posts first raised flags, I'd quietly transferred our asset savings investments, the house, into irrevocable trusts, all legal, all bulletproof. I told her it was for tax planning. She'd signed the papers, distracted by her phone, not reading a word. Our joint account, the one she'd cleaned out, held only $50,000 pocket change compared to our $2 million portfolio. When her text hit that morning, I'm leaving you for Chandler. Took the money, LOL. My lawyer will handle the divorce, I wasn't shocked. I was ready. I'd replied good luck and called Karen to confirm the trusts were untouchable. Haley thought she'd won. She didn't know she'd grabbed the decoy. I moved back home, but we slept in separate rooms. Haley started therapy, digging into her choices, her flaws. I saw glimpses of the woman I'd married her spark her wit, but trust was a ghost flickering in the corners. I met Tom for beers, his eyes searching mine. "You're not divorcing her," he said, not a question. I sipped my IPA, the bar's country tunes, a low hum. "I don't know what I'm doing," I admitted. He grinned soft. "You'll find your way." I met Haley at a trail by Fontanelle Forest, the trees bare under a rare sunny sky. She looked worn but determined, her hair pulled back, no jewelry. "I'm scaling back my firm," she said, her voice steady. "Starting over, no secrets. I want to earn you back, Warren." I nodded, my hands in my pockets. "And us?" I asked. She looked at the forest, then at me. "I'll fight for you every day, even if you walk away." Her words hit like a freight train, a spark of the Haley I'd loved. We walked along the trail, not touching, just talking about our first date at a Huskers game, our fights over budgets, our kids' college graduations. It wasn't a fix, not a clean slate, but it was a start. Dr. Weaver's words echoed. Love doesn't erase pain, but it can endure it. Maybe he was right. The final twist came a week later. Linda found me at the office, her eyes nervous. "Warren, Haley left something for you." She handed me a USB drive labeled "for Warren." I plugged it into my laptop, my heart pounding. A video loaded, Haley alone, tears streaming. "Warren," she said, her voice raw. "If you're watching this, I'm gone or I've lost you." I screwed up, let Chandler pull me in. But every move I made, after every tip to Elise, every email to Victor, it was for you, for us. I love you. If you can't forgive me, I get it. Just don't hate me. The video ended, the screen black, my eyes burning. I didn't know if I could forgive her, but I didn't hate her. We were rebuilding, or maybe just learning to let go. I looked at Linda, her face hopeful. "You okay, Warren?" she asked. I nodded, pulling her into a hug. "We'll be okay." The future was a blank map, but for now I was here, the forest whispering steady, a new path unfolding. You're here because this story meant something. Don't scroll away without leaving a thought in your subscription. Revenge with Jack is where real stories find their voice, and yours. Did I reclaim my strength by giving Haley a chance, or lose my soul by not walking away? Drop your take below.